Thoughts never spoken, feelings never crisis, truth never voiced.
Welcome to the Unspoken Voices Podcast with Chuck Ellis, where the rubber meets the road and the unspoken finds its voice. This is more than a podcast. This is a space for the thoughts you've been holding in, the conversation you've been avoiding, the feelings you've been struggling to explain. It's a platform for honesty, a safe place for courage, and voice for those who haven't found theirs yet. Here we don't run from real life.
We face it.
Whether you're calling in to share your story or listening because you're not ready to speak yet, this platform was built for you. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about
what's really going on. This is the Unspoken Voices Podcast.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Brian, you on with me?
How we doing?
Okay. I can see Brian. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think your screen. Well, I tell
right
you what.
Here.
Okay, okay, I see you now.
You got me all right?
Yeah, you all right?
No.
Yeah. Now you know we on air, right? We started already. So this is the deal. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a little some brief. We had some brief technical difficulties, right? So at this point in time, I'm actually gonna open the show up different than what I ordinarily do. Because we have to be able to navigate around the technical difficulties and adjust accordingly as we move forward. How that sound?
That sounds good to me.
All right, okay. So hopefully everybody can hear you, because I know your mic, for some odd reason, your mic is low. I know we tested everything, but your mic it's kind of low on my end as well. So
I'm sorry.
Okay, there we go. I got you. No problem. No problem. Okay, now we should be straight.
Closer here?
Yeah, no, we good. We good. You can back up some, because I don't want you to. There you go, because I don't want you your head to take up the whole screen. You know?
Yeah. No, we don't want that. No, you got it.
You know, we both have a lot of brains to keep hold of.
That's correct, sir.
So, I mean, well, look, we on air now. It's, I would have did my previous introduction and everything like that. But you know what? Sometimes you got to roll with the punches and do what's necessary. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's no further ado. On the screen next to me, you'll see Mr. Brian Krueger. Well, ain't no need me introducing you. How about giving people a brief bio of yourself?
Yeah.
And I'll let them know which way we're going with the podcast, with the title. But let them know who you are, sir.
Yeah, I was born an artist at the age of 4.
Okay.
When I first started exploring aspects of drawing and art and creating characters and this type of thing. But I was also raised in a very sports-oriented family, including football, wrestling, basketball, things of that nature. And then I gradually transitioned to boxing, partly because I was in football is a running sport, and I can't run very fast. So I made the transition to boxing. I did like the contact and the intimacy of it's hard to describe what I got out of boxing, but it was an amazing experience for myself in terms of self-discovery and things of that nature. And it was very, very connected to my experiences with art, which is confronting yourself in a lot of making drawings. There was always something in there that had to come out.
Right.
And drawing was the way that I got there. And I've been doing it for, gosh, it's got to be over 60 years now. I've worked in animation in Los Angeles, the animation company that created the Rugrats. I worked in development, developing new shows and things of that nature. I've done illustration work for Rolling Stone magazine. That drawing has been the core of it all, basically, in terms of how I discovered I got my sea legs from drawing. And now I'm working at a behavioral health care center, which we would call a mental hospital per se, and working with patients there to help them find their legs as well.
Okay.
And I've been doing for the last like 8 years, and it's been the best part of my career, to be quite honest.
Okay. But that's a very interesting background,
Yes.
to say the least. And I'll let everybody know that you and I, we met each other. We met each other on the humble. We just had an outing, and you walked up and we're sitting there with some friends, and I'm like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And it's just very interesting how people can introduce to each other, meet each other, and it's just a quick spark, and we get into a conversation. And like I said, we got to talking about what I do, and I was telling you about the podcast and mental health. And ironically, he was like, "Hey man, that's right up my alley." I'm like, "Okay." So I was like, "Well, let's talk about it." So, getting into it, I'll go to a little bit because I want the audience to understand that what we're actually talking about here. Tonight's subject is about mental health and using art as a tool in order, art incorporated tool to assist individuals in dealing with their issues that involve the mental conditions. Correct?
This is correct. That is
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I would seemingly start to begin with if I would ask you that, what do some people or to you, what do some people misunderstand about mental health support?
Right. In my experience, I would say that I approached it from the standpoint of I'm going to go in there in therapy sessions and have a little bit of a selfish motive, in the sense that I'm going to see what I can get out of this experience versus going in there with this idea that I'm giving and giving. When I go in there and express or at least give manifest itself as I want to be here. There's an intangible that happens.
Okay.
The patients know you want to be there because it sounds selfish initially. And in some ways it actually is, but I go in there to entertain. What can I get from them? What can they give me? And when I do that, they know I want to be there. And to me, that's the intangible element behind addressing what a lot of these patients need, which is need to be needed. It's not a construction. I go in there honestly. There's a lot of humor, because I've never seen patients fight when they're laughing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
I have never seen that. And so humor is an enormous part, not only of my own makeup. You know, I go back to the Monty Python days of humor, all that stuff,
Okay.
but the absurdity of reality and life itself. And I bring this sort of attitude to the table. And, you know, and I got a kid just recently that introduced me to, Miles. And I just, my God, we're just like splitting a gut, just falling on the floor laughing. This is the attitude. And like I said, I've never seen patients fight while they're laughing.
Mhm.
So humor is an enormously central part of my approach.
Okay.
But not just that, working with materials
Okay.
like pencils, pastels, paper, this type of thing, and getting them to just move those mediums across the paper and
Okay.
see where, and not judging it from a formal artistic standpoint, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Okay.
I'm not interested in, because art is a language that has so many facets. And I've been doing it for so long that I can see. I can see the emotion in the line. I can see the emotion in the color. I can see the emotion uh, in the choices that a patient may make in terms of how they express themselves. And this experience has allowed me entree into their psychic makeup in a way.
Okay.
And it's, but it's also, it's it's fed me as well. And that's one of the keys. I think it's perhaps underestimated within that kind of a practice, so to speak, that we're here to serve. I don't look at it that way. I look at it, no, I'm in this too. I'm part of this
Right.
because I'm vulnerable too.
Exactly.
You know what?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, and and the way you put it was absolutely magnificent. When you said that, I don't go in there saying that, and I'm going to be giving or providing something to someone. I
Mm,
go in with the mindset that I'm going to be receiving something in return because I'm part of what's actually going on. So as I develop with the individuals, you know, I can incorporate some of what I need to put within myself to be able to assist, not just in the communication, but hey, as I grow, they can grow with me. And we
no, no question. It's a reciprocation. They perhaps may don't realize it, but I need them too.
uh,
Uh, Self, because we take breaths, we take oxygen in, and it's a nonstop thing. So when I'm in their room with those kids and those patients, I'm receiving stimulation, creative, and what I find with often with people that are that struggle is a they let go of the brakes. They just let it out, and this
mhm.
is what I've seen so often. And to me, that is where the gold is.
Okay.
The gold is in that letting it go. I've got nothing to lose. I, and I don't want to say it in a desperate way, so to speak. There's something very magical in that that I've discovered, and I've been doing it for 8 years at this particular place. And God, I've got mountains of artwork, and I'm telling you, I've been in the art field since I was 4 years old, and I have never seen such energy and such like creative. Just when people just let it go, they just let it go. There's no prevarication about, oh, I can't put this line here or I can't use that color here. They just go. They just I've seen this. And I've worked at a high school for profoundly gifted kids.
Okay.
And I don't want to necessarily criticize that, but there's a tendency to be that perfectionism of every line's got to be just right. And I don't have that here.
Right. Right.
Boom. They, pardon the French, but they don't care about it's Katie bar the door. Just let it out. And I've seen this so many times, and I've got a digital collection of the work that's been produced over the last 8 years, and it's absolutely, it's just brilliant. The energy, the color, it's there. I mean, and I've been seeking this kind of a connection, this kind of collaborative connection.
So let me ask you, what are the ranges, the age group ranges of individuals that you interact with? And also, I know we talked about mental health, so
Yeah.
and how art assists. So is it certain mental diagnoses that some individuals have that tend to reflect different, or do you have a comparison, or do you even think about what the diagnosis of the individual is when you're discussing art, or when you try to implement it?
Well, I can't help but think about it to some extent, saying,
Okay.
where did this come from? From whence did this come? You know, and a great deal of it. And I don't know if it's because of this part of the country. I've lived all over the country, and this is the first time, you know, in 8 years I've lived in this part of the country, and I think there's a lot of stress and potentially trauma, so to speak.
Okay.
What does this produce when it's like a pressure cooker of, you know, finance, of trying to get on your feet, trying to get a start in your life, relationships, your parental situations? All of these things present a piece of pressure that, and sometimes is unrelenting. And I feel that I've seen various manifestations of that, but not quite to this level in this part of the country. And as a result, you get that pressure cooker's got to have a release.
Mm-hmm.
And when it releases, you get a dynamic in the form of an aesthetic expression, i.e. paint, drawing, any number of different ways of, music, of course. I can't believe I didn't even mention that. The sound, music. This is a very dynamic part of the country with regard to music, in my view.
Okay.
I've seen so many just amazing expressions, but a lot of these expressions come out based on the sort of pressure cooker that I think a lot of these kids feel. There's a lot of pressure. Okay. And I connect to it intrinsically because I gravitate towards creative risk taking, people that are willing to just go out there and take the risk and try something.
So with people, I would say, because I know you spoke about high levels of stress and things like this. So with individuals, what would, and I can't pinpoint, what would, in your opinion, say someone that suffers from high anxiety?
Yes.
Okay. They have high anxiety. What would some of their artwork tend to look like, or tend to mirror, if you can describe it or something, you know?
No, that's a fantastic question. The first artist that comes to mind is Jackson Pollock. For one, who did what was called, he was called Jack the Dripper, who splashed paint on canvas. He just needed a release. And
Okay.
so he let it go. And he made these canvases that had nothing but drips of paint splattered, and layer after layer after layer of this. Perhaps the right word is violent, but perhaps there's a serendipity and as well. And there's a lot of these, what was called the abstract expressionist movement, that let this, it was no drawing theory involved at all. It was just let your guts out on the canvas, throw it out there, let it go. And this is what I see this in the musical tastes of a lot of the patients that I work with, that they don't hesitate. And this is so difficult to nurture in a student. And I see it on a daily with these patients, that they have no breaks.
Okay.
And this is where you get art that touches a deeper side of the human condition, if you will.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense, but that it reaches a little bit deeper, because it hesitate, and it's not compromising, and it's not sitting there being careful about the line being it's just letting that out. And I found the same thing, of course, in my experience with boxing as well, which, that's another corner of that universe, so to speak. But it's very, very similar and very connected.
Oh, we're definitely going to dive into the boxing element, because I think along with boxing comes a lot of discipline, and we have a lot of boxers that have some mental issues or have some trauma in their life. So boxing was an outlet, for myself, not per se boxing, but fighting and violence. That was my unspoken outlet, and it could go far left, it could go far right, and a lot of times when it gets out of control, it's kind of hard to reel yourself back in if you don't have the focus to be able to apply certain tools or coping mechanisms to deal with this misplaced anger or these violent outbursts. So,
well, you were a warrior. I mean, you were a combatant, correct? I mean, if I'm mistaken, I believe you talked about this, and that's a whole different category of dealing with chaos, the unpredictable, these things. And so, I mean, you're in a different category in that respect, I would guess. I don't know what combat. I boxed for 30 years, and of course, somebody's coming at you trying to hit you in the head. That presents a challenge, right? But as a warrior, I can't purport to understand what that felt like or what that is about.
I definitely get it. So in the art world, because I'm an artist in my own right. I'm a poet. So
I know.
I'm an artist in my own right. When we talk about the physical drawing art and painting, how can drawing and painting help someone release stress without needing to just explain everything?
Yeah.
And I think you kind of said it, just let go. But when say when one of your patients or your clients, say when your clients starts to draw, do they ever get into their vision of the drawing? Yes. Or they just let it? Can you explain some of that to us? I mean,
I can.
Okay.
The key is developing a sense of trust, first of all, with, look, I'm not going to show you how to draw a bridge, a building. I mean, I can do that, and I do that. But with a lot of the patients, it's about pure expression and telling what the value of your unhesitating expression brings to the table for yourself and perhaps for others. That there's a raw emotion that sits in the back there. That's sort of the truth teller, if you will.
Mhm.
There's the truth, because let's face it, it's paint on a piece of paper, or it's pencil on paper.
Mhm.
That's all it is. It's nothing more than that. So what is on that piece of paper is ultimately something you're trying to express. And so what I try to do is bring that out as unvarnished as possible, without any of the frou-frou or the decorative. And now, we get patients that want to draw Hello Kitty and any number of other types of things.
Yeah.
And too. And believe me, that I don't have any problem with any of that. But there are a great deal of the patients that somehow you want to give them the green light to let go.
Mm-hmm.
Just let that paint flow. And when it flows, there's a feeling that when you're in the zone, so to speak. I mean, I think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh no, I get it, because I feel the same way when I'm writing. Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I have a thought, and when I'm having a thought, I'm clicking. I'm just I'm in the zone.
You're
And
in
I assume that's the same way when an artist, or not even an artist, just a person that's using art to relate something. When they're in the zone, it's not a matter of how perfect it is. It just letting it go, and it paints a picture to them.
absolute. And you bring up a key point here in terms
Okay.
of not being the tutored artist, so to speak. Art is not about necessarily the fundamental constructions of how to draw or perspective or shading and this and that, because I teach that as well. And I was trained, classically, as a draftsman, so to speak. But the part that's far more interesting is getting behind the curtain of the stage,
Mm.
where it's sloppy, where the messes are made, where the mistakes are made, where the crew is fighting, all this stuff before the production goes on, before the stage is lifted and you see the presentation. We want to get behind the curtain to a layer of the soul that is raw, and let's just say it can be ugly. It can not. It can be beautiful as well. As a matter of fact, you're looking for that sort of intersection between the two, where the beauty sort of meets the chaos, and that's where you get that little speck of the diamond, if you will. You know what I mean? Where everything comes together.
Yeah.
Because you don't make a diamond with an amazing amount of pressure, right?
Right.
And this is what I'm trying to say is that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that little intersection between a feel for color or a feel for art, so to speak,
Okay.
and that thing that sits way back in your craw.
Okay.
That leads to sort of this, I don't want to say explosion, but there's tension. Let's just say it that way.
See, now some people that's watching may be thinking like, I understand the idea, but I don't know where to start. So, I understand the idea, but don't know where to start. But now when we talk about art integrated with mental health conditions. Um, when people are, can you? I would say this. What's the difference between expressing pain in an art form and staying stuck in the pain? Because now we're trying to move from expression to healing. So I know
Wow.
you dealt with a lot of individuals. So
Yeah.
if that question makes sense, you think you could elaborate a little bit on how I just phrased that?
I think I can.
Okay, come on.
I think what I tried to do with patients is develop, well, and you don't do it consciously, you do it honestly. You do it, you just be yourself. And in that, my search for beauty in art is innate. In other words, it's already in me. So I can't lie about that. I can't sit there and I'm looking for it anyway. I'm always looking for someplace, little corners of the universe that have that sort of like weird construction or visual construction that just go, whoa. So I'm always on the lookout for that. So I can't lie about that. And so when I see little hints of it appearing from these patients, I go, I load down on that, man. I just go, there it is. There's something there. There's a little living thing in that last mark you made there. I see it.
Mhm.
And I pull that damn thing out of there and say, how do I sustain it? Well, with every patient, it's different.
Mhm.
Some might just fold up and say, well, you're paying attention to me. I don't want to be paying attention to, or whatever. It could be any number of things, but I still have to go after what, and this is where the selfish part comes in. I got to get to that thing. I'm always going for that thing, that little like spark, that magical, it's violent. And I don't mean violent in the bad way, so to speak, but I mean violent in the fact that there's friction.
Mhm.
Two opposing forces are rubbing up against each other, and that creates these sparks.
Right.
And these sparks is what give you this visual thing that you can't get any other way. And I'm always on the lookout for that kind of thing. And when I see it, I mine it. I try to, you got to tease this. I got to tease this out of that person. And for some reason, it becomes a very healthy process. They get something out. They see something in themselves that words can't do. Words can't do that. I mean,
Right.
it can't. Don't get me wrong, because I mean, being a poet, my brother was a poet too, and I get that. You can do it with words as well. So I'm not trying to distinguish.
No, we talk about art. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the visual sense of the word, there's these intangibles, and when I see it, I know it. I know it like right now, and I go, damn, I got to be on that thing like white on rice. I mean, it's got to be right on that thing, and I'm not going to let go of it.
So now when you're on that point, because I'm trying to pick your brain. I'm trying to get in there and we got so much time. I'm trying to get some of these elements out so that everybody's starting to see the different visuals. So, and I'm looking from your perspective. There are a lot of mental health conditions, over 20, 30 conditions, right? Now,
Yeah.
as in the art spectrum, do you see like a noticeable difference between male and female artists as to how they draw out their vision, how they draw out their pain, how they try to organize their healing through drawing? Do you see a significant difference in male versus female, or?
It's that's a great question. I try, because there's a lot of sexual ambiguity that occurs with those who are struggling with their identity and things of this nature.
Mhm.
And so I try not to distinguish that terribly much. However, there probably is some. I mean, I've had patients, female patients. I mean, geez, I remember when this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I was on the kids unit, and we designed an entire animated series, and it was what was it called, the circus of the damaged person, something along those lines. I
Okay.
exact name, but it was all about a circus of these people who were outcasts, who were outliers, and they wrote. We had one girl that wrote the thing, and me and this other patient drew the characters, and it was like, man, they just let it out, and it was just like hilarious, and it was absurd, and it was like, but it had so much like content, so much like a weight to it, because they didn't hold back. And this is what I consider to be the center of the kind of job that I would really like to see happen. With it doesn't happen all the time.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes I have, sessions where nobody wants to do anything.
Right.
But I get those moments where, God, they're just, it's like heaven. It's like heaven.
Yeah.
It's just these little girls coming up with ideas, and I felt like I gave them permission to do that, because people want everything to be so perfect, and they go, I can't say what's on my mind. I can't say that. You want to try to take the brakes off for a couple minutes here.
Yeah. You made a big point, and I can see your reaction. I like your reaction because I can tell from how you react, the joy and your passion about what you do. You made a big statement. You said it's like I gave them permission, and some people that are dealing with a illness or condition, sometimes all they need is permission to feel, just feel, permission to release, So you being in that presence and to be able to pick up on that.
Yeah. I want them to feel that they can give their feelings a form. And it might be a character. It might be a voice. I mean, I've done my own animation voices, and they're just absolutely absurd and off the chart and all that stuff. But I've been doing it for so long, I don't really care, I guess. But you know what I mean? I just let it go, and it gets ridiculous sometimes. Trust me, it gets ridiculous. But I'm okay with that. If somebody else has a problem with it, they're going to have to arrest me or.
Right. Yeah.
I want to try to give these kids permission to let those impulses out. And I don't know quite how. I couldn't give you a map or a 3-point plan or whatever, how you give those people the feeling that they've got the freedom to just let go and be who they really are, and pull out parts of themselves that might have been sitting there in, what's the word? Incubating back into the recesses of their body, so they don't even know who they are, I think this happens. This is part of, I've said this before, that sometimes I think the asylum is on the outside. There's nothing wrong. I mean, sometimes I say there's nothing wrong with that kid. That kid is brilliant. That kid is full of life and full of a need to express and a need to be honest with their emotion. And society holds them back. Society pushes them into a straitjacket of some kind. And sometimes I think that, and maybe that's radical. I don't know. something bothers me about that. That why can't you just be this and feel good about it and feel good about what you really honestly feel? And so when I'm there working with those kids and other patients as well as the adult unit, that's all I want to do is I want them to be able to say, you know what, you can be what you are, and it might not look like what most people look like,
Right.
but you got the right to be that, you know what I mean?
Okay. See, and that's, that's ideal. Now, see, because I want to say, like, and I'll talk to the audience too. We come on and we have a mental health segment
Yeah.
a few times during the month, and I'm gonna speak to the audience. If it's people out, if it's any of the listeners out there listening, and you starting to pick up on some of what we're talking about, especially about having kids be able to express themselves to feel free. Throw a like in the comments, throw a chat, throw a comment if you got a question about something, or maybe you got a family member that's dealing with some sort of mental issue, or just an anger issue, or even seclusion. You got a question, you want to reach out. There's some things that Brian might can help you answer. If you have an artist in your family that that's a recluse and doing certain things but has great art, reach out. Hit us in the comments.
That's how we met, the common ground.
Yeah.
At that, I went up to get some beer, and you guys were cooking tacos, and man, I said, and you guys blocking. There was no parking spots. I go, what the heck? And I said, I got to find out what this is about, because first of all, I saw the tacos going. I said, I might want some of that action. And man, we just sat back and just kicking about just this and that, and you show me your books with your poetry, and God darn, man, I mean, we all got something inside, and it's not rocket science, I don't think. Maybe it is. Shit, maybe it is. I don't.
Yeah. But now I know we talk about the mental health, but I don't want to move around without. But tell me some stuff about the boxing, man. You told me you was in that boxing ring. You gotta tell me a little. Let the people know. Where were you at in the boxing ring? Let's talk about it.
Well, that was curiosity killed the cat, as they say. And I belonged to the YMCA in Cincinnati for like 25 years. And there was this closet with a heavy bag. And I said, what? I played football. I'm from a football family. And I couldn't run, though. And that's why I never really succeeded as a football player. You got to be able to run. And boxing, I wrestled as well. But I saw this bag up there, and I started smacking on that thing. I did 8 rounds a day for a long time. And this ex-pro came up there and asked me if I wanted to spar in the handball court.
Mm-hmm.
And he knocked my teeth out the first time. Yeah, but I just kept coming back. There's something about the dialogue between two humans who are trying to take each other's heads off. I don't know why. I don't think I'm a violent person. I honestly do not. But because in boxing, the irony of it is it's about keeping calm. It's about, you can't function as a boxer without being calm, without being. You can't see the punches coming. You can't see what's going on in the ring when you're hyped up and nervous and angry or whatever. And this is the thing that it taught me. And I went to, after the Y, I went to a boxing gym in inner city Cincinnati, the West Side. I don't know if you ever heard of Aaron Pryor, but he trained there. RIP, great boxer. But Cincinnati's a great boxing city, Ezzard Charles and guys of that nature. But it was also a cultural barrier. in the sense that I'm from a Leave It to Beaver neighborhood. I was raised in a Leave It to Beaver neighborhood, so you can fill in the gaps whichever way you'd like.
Right,
So
right.
there was a cultural barrier, I guess you would say. And so when I first went to this gym down in the inner city, west side of Cincinnati, I was not immediately accepted or respected. And I really had to make my bones in there. And I think I did. I mean, I boxed there for, several months, and they set me up a fight. And my first fight, I got my nose broken really bad. My girlfriend at the time swore that that she was going to break up with me if she ever caught me fighting again.
But let me see. Well, hold on one second, because I got a question. I got a question that came through, because here we definitely want to make sure we kind of address what's going on. So Julie Snyder, she asked, what type of progress have you witnessed with the patients or students through the art sessions?
Oh, that's a great question. It's what I think they start gaining is a little bit of trust in who they are. When they start seeing that they're letting themselves go a little bit. This is where I try to, I go into those sessions saying, what are you guys going to do for me? I don't go in there saying, what am I going to do for you? I try to see what you're going to do for me, and then give something to me that has value. And to me, it's ironic in a way. I mean, in other words, my job is to go in there and give, I guess. But ironically, I say, no, I want to go in there and take. What do you got for me? Okay. And when they can pull down into their craw and pull something out of themselves that's real, and then I'm sitting there and they can see it in my face when they go, shoot, that's just hit me in the craw, man. I mean, that's very difficult for some of these kids to trust themselves enough to put that out there. And when I get that, it could be just color. It can be anything. It could be subject matter, which is often it is. Some of it's very revealing and intimate and things of that nature. And when I get that, I go, and it just hits you right in the heart. And it's going, man, now I know that I'm getting mine out of this.
Yeah. So that makes sense to me. So to get, I want to make sure we answer the question, G, because that's a very good question. And I want to know, like, okay, so when someone comes in, they have an art session.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know you said trust, because a lot of people that have a condition, they got to trust themselves to be able to relate freely. Now, after they reach that point of trust, right, with themselves and or with you, what does the picture look like as far as growth, developmental growth? To say that, say they came in one way and they left out another, but what does that actual picture look like from your viewpoint?
That is the question. First of all, in my estimation, it's never going to happen in one session. It's like building something with one brick at a time. Mm-hmm. You're developing a habit. First of all, you're giving them the sense that they are capable of expressing something real that matters.
Okay.
That matters. And this is really key in my view. It matters to you. It matters to your loved ones. It matters to society. When you start getting that and you build on that, and it's one brick at a time, because sometimes you start off and there's no sense of self. There's no sense of confidence in who they are. They just feel like they're empty vessels, and So what I try to do is just allow that, build that stage to build this. I'm not really doing anything. I'm just trying to build the stage upon which they can let that out. And then once they start looking in that mirror and saying, damn, they start going, man, and it starts hitting their gut, and there's some beauty that comes out of that when you build that stage appropriately, I guess you would say, to allow that reality to come out, that there is actual sublime beauty in what they've got to say. And a lot of that beauty is born of pain. As much as I'm not thrilled about saying that, but you go through history, and some of the better artists of our history in the past has come of amazing amount of pain in their life and their existence. And I know that's in there, and sometimes just getting it out there and acknowledging that it has a vitality, a life unto itself, that's the reward. That's where they start seeing the gold.
Right.
Because it's in, my thing is that I just trust it's in there. I know it's in there. And maybe I'm fooling myself.
No. Because I think that you're so entrenched in the environment and even in the craft that you can see what a lot of family members maybe not have the patience to see. And I'll say patience to see is this, because individuals that suffer from any type of traumatic event or any event surrounding mental health, sometimes family members look for an immediate result. They look for an immediate change. Or they say, well, okay, you went in to go see the psychiatrist today, and when you come out, you feel the same. You're looking, but you may be looking in the wrong place at the wrong time for the wrong type of result.
Could be.
And that's what I ask is about your sessions. You're not looking for anything. You're receiving, and what they're putting out is what they're getting out of it.
It's already there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like that sublime, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say beauty. It's already in there. My job is to tease it out somehow. I'm not really doing anything. I'm just trying to give them permission to be who they are. And it's not always easy, because, you've got a lot of patients and a variety of people who are holding on to something inside them they don't want anybody to see, because of what society puts down on us. It could be any number of things. It could be factors of who we are, or where we're from, or what we've experienced, and people are saying, I'm ashamed of that, or so they're holding back. And all I'm trying to say is, God damn it, there's something vital and needed inside you, that when you let this out, you're going to find out how beneficial and how much of a contribution you're making to your community when you let it's reciprocal. And people are afraid of I don't want to say showing vulnerability, because I don't view it totally as a vulnerability. I view it as just the real, like, nuts and bolts of what we're made of and where it came from and how it came to be. People hold back. People are very stilted about that. I can't let anybody know who I am. I can't do that. And at least with art, there's a piece of yourself that you're letting out there, that's honest, that's real. And it might just be a bunch of paint smushed together. And that's okay, because I can see it. I can see that expression in that paint, or in those lines, or in the pastel, or in that, whatever it is. And I find that's where the real value of art is. I don't care for the art system that elevates certain artists to these high planes versus on the ground, what I call relational art,
Okay.
where we're not so worried about the authorship. We're worried about what this is and how it incorporates itself into our community. So I've come to question the old standards of the art hierarchy, like a great versus a not a great art. It should bleed out into society where everybody's got access to it.
And that's very key to where you at in your perspective. And like I say, we've been here for a minute, and I think that and I got to be honest with you, man, I think we need to come back on, and I'm going to gather some more questions from the audience and some things that we still need to dive into, because we are right here right now in this session, this our artistic session on this podcast. We only scratched the surface of what you and I discussed, but what you and I need to dig into. But but before we close out, before we end off, I want to give the audience something practical. Like, somebody may watch it, may be like overwhelmed, smiling, or unsure what next to do and things like that. From your perspective, while we're closing out, I will want you maybe give some seasoned advice to individuals that may be going through it, and or people that are watching someone go through it, right?
Yeah.
That you may tie art into a way for them to do so. What kind of first steps or something like that? Give me your final words, but we don't have final words. Give me your words before we end out, because we're going to come back again. And I definitely want to have you back so we can really dive into it a little further. But yeah, take a minute or so and just give me an overview of some of that sense of that the audience can leave out of here with, something they can leave out of here with.
No question about it. In 1995, I had a creative block where I couldn't create anything. I hit a brick wall, and I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't make a drawing to save my life. And I got myself a ream of copier paper and a ballpoint pen, and I made thousands of drawings intentionally. Many of them I made as bad drawings, good drawings. And I just moved through it by just drawing. I didn't worry about, and I signed and dated every one of them. And I'm talking thousands. I must have 10,000 of them from that particular period of time. And I didn't qualify. The key was to take the quality element out and just free myself from all the restraints of what society says a good piece of art is about. Remove all that. Get rid of it. And just let yourself go and be what you are. And that was a turning point for me, because I hit a brick wall, and it changed everything that I did. And I didn't judge myself. And this is what I try to get across, is draw. And also the signing and dating of the drawings was key, because there were markers. They were a way for me to look back and say, where was I emotionally when I made this one? Those were the things that I could put in there that made sense to me outside of the so-called quality, what society considers to be a quality piece of artwork. So that's my little simple tidbit, I guess, of advice that I would give anybody. And I would say, even if you're not an artist, what the hell, do it.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, hey, man, look, I appreciate you taking time out. Man, I enjoyed the conversation. I'm quite sure the viewers enjoyed the conversation. Tell us where they can see some of your art.
Well, yeah, they can go to Instagram, B Krueger, KRUEGER 5. That is my, I guess my moniker on Instagram, and I've been doing a lot of animation, and my stuff's a little off the wall, so brace yourself.
All right, hold on, give it to me again, because I'm putting it in the comments. B Krueger, right?
B Krueger, BKRUEGER 5. And that's on Instagram. And you'll get I got probably 300 animated films up there right now. And I got much more drawings, paintings, and this and that. So if you want to get a flavor of my, what do you call, ornery approach or look at life, you'll get a little kick out of it, I think.
Okay. Well, I just put that down in the comments for people to go look you up on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to be able to assist individuals and even getting their work out there, and even as a point of contact. So y'all can reach Mr. Krueger out there on Instagram. Go over to his page, hit the like button, check it out. Send him a DM, see what's going on. You got questions? Also tap back in with us. Hey, send us a comment, send us a question. We are here to get something from giving something to you.
Fantastic, motif here. And I appreciate you giving me the time and listening to what I had to say. I really appreciate it.
All right, man, we'll talk, and then I'll have you back on soon.
Absolutely, man. Pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, man. See you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a great session. That was a great episode. We have a lot of information to relay. We got a lot of commonalities to speak about. My next guest on my next mental health segment will be none other than Chelsea Smith. I want y'all to tune in. Our next segment will be in 3 weeks. Well, it's a month. It'll be the third week of every month that we do a specialized segment for mental health. In the meantime, and in between time, myself, I'm currently working on my book, Manifested Fruition. Please stay tuned to that. I also have a YouTube channel with some of my music. It's under Poetic Picasso. That's PACASSO on YouTube. I'm on pretty much all the streaming platforms: YouTube, Spotify, D's, all of them. I'm all over. I'm all over the place with my music, and I'm really going to be pushing. I'm really pushing my book. This book is going to be so great when it comes out. It'll be out the next couple of weeks. My next thing is, hey, if you're in there and you watching, and when you're watching, tap the like button. Chime in and say, hey, Chuck, I'm here. Let me know where you at, because for some reason I'm not seeing everybody that's coming in, but I know I get a lot of comments. And when I talk to people outside, they say, hey, man, we was watching you. So, hey, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, tune in with us. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Go under the live tab on the YouTube channel, and you see all our segments. And like I said, all support is appreciated. All forms of support is appreciated. If you take a second to hit a like button, hey, it's a like button. Also in the comment section, as you always know, no romance, Has without no finance. I put the Cash App tag in there. It's a Chuck Ellis podcast. Hey, y'all can $1, $2, $3. Y'all can send out little thing, because you know what? Putting this stuff together ain't free. So as we do here on Unspoken Voices Podcast, as always, we thank y'all for coming. Stay strong, stay positive, and stay connected. Peace.
This has been the Unspoken Voices Podcast with Chuck Ellis, where silence is broken, truth is spoken, and healing begins. So remember, your voice matters, your pain has purpose, and your story deserves to be heard.
So until next time,
Stay connected,
stay encouraged.
and know that your voice is never alone.